Today's lesson is on how do we construct functions to model linear relationships. Jin is tracking how much food he feeds his dog each week. After 2 weeks, he has used 8 1/2 cups of dog food. After 5 weeks, he has used 21 1/4 cups. Construct a function in the form y equals mx plus b. Take a second to copy down the question. So in this case, we're writing our equation in the form y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to have to find my slope and my y-intercept. I have my points. I have 2 weeks and 8 1/2 cups of dog food, and 5 weeks, 21 1/4. So I can rewrite those as points. So it's 2, 8 1/2, and 5, 21.25. So now I'm just going to find my equation from these 2 points. I'm going to start with my slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. x1, y1, x2, y2. I could have reversed them, just as long as the 1 and 1 stay together and the 2 and 2 stay together. So now I'm going to substitute in, using parentheses, to find what my slope would be. So I have 21.25 minus 8.5 over 5 minus 2. 21.25 minus 8.5 is equal to 12.75, and 5 minus 2 is equal to 3. Since this is a real life situation, I'm going to divide out my slope and have it be a fraction. So my slope is 4.25. So now I have my equation. Y equals 4.25x plus b. Now I can pick any point and substitute it in. I'm going to pick this first point. So I have 8.5 equals 4.25 times 2 plus b. 8.5 equals 8.5 plus b. I can subtract 8.5. 0 equals b. So my y-intercept is 0. So my equation will just be y equals 4.25x. The graph shows the relationship between the number of pages printed by a printer and the warm-up time before each printing. What function in the form y equals mx plus b represents this relationship? What do the different numbers represent in the context of the problem? Take a second to copy down the question. So we have to write the equation in the form y equals mx plus b. I'm going to start with my y-intercept. My y-intercept is here and is just 1. So I have y equals our slope times x plus 1. Now to find my slope, I see how much I move up and to the right. So I'm going to use my 2 points, this point, my y-intercept, and this point. My slope is a change in y, so I go up from 1 to 2, so that's up 1, and I go to the right, 1, 2. But if I look here, this is the number of pages printed. It's going by 5, so it'd be 1 over 10. So my equation would be y equals 1 over 10 x plus 1. So the slope, it says what do the different numbers represent? It means 1 minute to print 10 pages. since it's a change in y over the change in x, the minute is the y, the pages is the x. So 1 minute to print 10 pages. And the 1 minute for the y-intercept is the time to warm up. And the last question. The data in the table represents a linear relationship. Fill in the missing data and write an equation that represents the function. Take a second to copy down the question and the table. So, the table tells us, the question tells us that the table is a linear relationship. So, I know that the slope is going to be the same. So I see here that this is plus 5 and plus 5. So I'm going to determine what this is. Here I have plus 10. I'm going to determine what this is. Since I have 10 and 5, this is going to have to be the same. If this is 5, this is going to be 10. So this would be 30. So this is plus 10. And again, since I have 10 and 10, this will have to be 5. So my y value here would be 25. So now I have to write the equation. My equation is going to be in the form y equals mx plus b. I know that my m is a change in y, which is 5, over the change in x, which is 10. I can reduce that to be 1/2. So I have y equals 1/2 x. Now I have to determine what my y-intercept would be. I can find that by just working backwards in my table. If I subtract 10 here, I'm at 0. Here I have to do the opposite, so I can subtract 5. 10 minus 5 is 5. So my y-intercept would just be 5. And this would be my equation.